Sydney Sweeny is in the news again today, but this time for something completely different and some great news if she takes it. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you hadn't already to never miss a video. We have daily content including film reviews, movie news, and more. So click that subscribe button and never miss a video. So Sydney Sweeny is in the news today because she has been offered $60 million to star in a Bollywood film. Now that's $44 million for the film itself, and then $16 million on the back end for various different promotional deals or sponsorships, with a grand total of $16 million for one film. Now, as a Bollywood film, which kind of sounds strange, it wasn't much released in this article saying about what the project is or anything of that nature. However, this would make her, if she takes it, the highest paying actress to ever do a film, or the highest paid actress for a single film. I think right now, I know Robert Downey Jr. got like $50 million for Iron Man 3. There's been some big paydays for films, but $60 million for a single film. Now, is she going to take it? That's the big question. Now, I remember a few years back that she did an article about how she doesn't make enough money to be able to take 6 months off, like her co-stars when she was doing Euphoria, how she has to continuously working. And, it's a struggle because they're not being paid. Actresses and actors aren't being paid as much like they used to with royalties to be able to take time off in between projects, which she got a lot of backlash for that. Me personally, I never really disliked her or gave her hate towards that because, yes, a lot of people say, oh, well, they make all this money and blah, 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 blah. They do make a lot of money, but again, there's a lot more to that. They have agents, managers, publicists, and a lot of people who take that cut. So when you see, they're making $400,000 an episode on Euphoria, okay, it's 8 episodes, but out of that, she's not making that much because of all the pay that she has to pay off to all of her different agencies, publicist, agent, manager, etc. But also, that's also, okay, they're doing 8 episodes once every 3 years. So really, when you break down how much they make over the course of how they make a lot of money in one chunk, but they don't work again for years of time on that one project. So that's why they have to do other projects and continue to work, especially starting out. And she made a reference to Friends, like Jennifer Aniston, Matt LeBlanc, and all them, who are making $20 million a year in royalties off Friends, which again was completely out of context because Friends been a huge show and it's been off the air for 20 years, and still is one of the number one shows with merchandise and everything else. So to compare Euphoria to Friends was a little out there, but I understand kind of what she was saying. So the fact that now she has this opportunity to make $60 million on one film, and she's hesitant about that, I question it. I feel like that, should she take it? Definitely. $60 million for one film, that puts you in the perfect position because now after that one film, you are set up to do whatever you want. You can literally pick and choose the projects that you want to do, and you can do more projects that you feel are more artistic or more something you want to kind of test your acting chops with. And you could do these indie budget films and these low budget films and do these more art house films. Now, that being said, there are some people who kind of mastered that art of mainstream and art house. Kristen Stewart is one of those people. She has been a huge advocate, even back in her Twilight days, saying that she really wants to do both, art house films and Hollywood blockbusters, and do both. And she's like, you could do both, And at the time, I think that comment really stuck with Robert Pattinson, and that's what made him the actor he is today. Because at the time, he only did mainstream stuff. He did like Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. Then he got into Twilight, and he was trying to do these big budget films like Remember Me, and he was trying to stay mainstream. And it wasn't until after that comment was made in the interview did he even start to take these indie projects like Good Times and all these lower budget films from like A24 and really kind of these more obscure films that kind of allowed him to really put his acting chops on the table and show people that he's more than just Edward Collins from Twilight. And I think that really helped boost his career. I mean, he then went on to work with Nolan on films like Tenet, and went on to make films like The Batman with Matthew Reeves, and he then became a blockbuster star again while also doing these indie films. And I feel like this would be a perfect opportunity for Sydney Sweeney, because then she would make the money she needed to float herself to be able to do these projects and have that clout to be able to make these smaller projects. Christie is one of the ones that was a film she starred in that's taking the festivals by storm. It does have some Oscar nomination bait going now, and I'm actually doing a separate video on the distribution of Christie, because there is a lot of hesitant around these indie style films or low budget films getting the theatrical release they need. Now again, if she were to star in a $60 million, well, she got paid $60 million to star in this Bollywood film that films apparently in America, Paris, Australia, and all these various different countries. It could be, again, when they say Bollywood, I don't know if it's just being produced by Bollywood or if it's being financed by Bollywood and it's going to be this big international film. It doesn't really say too much in the article I read. However, it does tell us that she's up for a $60 million payday, which I think she should take, and it would literally set her up to do whatever she wanted. And again, it would take her out of that I scratch your back, you scratch my back type of situation, because she did films like Madam Web simply to get Anyone But You made. She even said that her deal with Sony was, I make Madam Web, you guys greenlight Anyone But You. So she did that to get the film she wanted made. And again, once you're international stardom, you can then pick and choose and use your clout to get people to financiers to back your films. So is she going to do this film? I don't know. The fact that she has risen to stardom this high up in such a short period of time, I think is phenomenal. I am super stoked to see Christie, her new boxing film. Not sure when it's coming out in the theaters near me or even in the theaters at all. There is talks that it is being picked up for distribution at some point this year. Again, a premiere at the festival, so I'm sure it's going to have a window, even a short window in some form this year to be qualifying for the Oscars next year. So keep my fingers crossed on that one. But the fact that she got this opportunity, I think, is huge, and it's saying a lot that there is still production companies that are still putting up astronomical amounts of money to produce good films. What are your thoughts? Comment below. Let me know.